What's up, Digidestins? This is Kyle D, better known as RideMyAvatar, and hopefully, if you guys celebrated Christmas or any of your holidays, they treated you extremely well. Guys, I know there are many different holidays in this month, and I had to take a little bit of a break for Christmas itself, just so that I could get ready to be able to make more content. It gets kind of hectic around this year, so it just makes sense. So guys, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, enjoy what you have together. And if you got the week off, do something fun and exciting. So without further ado, let's talk about JP's meta cap for BT-15, shall we? So, guys, this is an interesting format. BT-15 is probably going to go down as the most hit format of JP, and the technically hit of multiple formats. So this format has created not one, but two restriction lists in a short time span. The first one was to take care of Izmon and Gabus just to slow down the format a little bit, which it did! But everybody just switched to the Garurumon X antibody engine, and it still was doing good. But the only reason why this deck didn't overtake as much as it did was top tier events weren't as prevalent during this format. So basically it became local setting after a little bit, and people in the local settings just want to play janky fun stuff when they don't have to be hyper competitive. And Apocalyptimon is basically the proven point here that once you hit it, you know, Mr. got a full pizza slice, now down just to the crust again, and he's down to 1. So, you know, taking a look at Mr. Krusty Boy, he's at 14.5%. He would have been probably higher if there was more competitive events. Then you have Anubismon, one of the purple doggos, at 60%. Then you have Blue Purple Garurumon at 9%. And then Bloom Lord at 6.5%. And then SOC, which is Fenrir Luga. Then you have Yellow Vaccine at 3.7%. Bunny Power, which took up from the back end here. Once that starter deck came in, boom, that deck hit it ground running. If it actually had probably a few more weeks, I would have said this probably would have reached into close to the SOC for, you know, tops. I think it could have overshadowed Fenrir Luga. But without knowing that, we should take a look here. As you can see, the stacks are, our first place is Mr. Krusty Boy. Then you have Anubismon. Then you have Blue Purple Garurumon, which is a mixture of the two decks. Bloom, SOC, Yellow Vaccine, and Bunny Power, and then it goes on and so forth. It's kind of cool to see all these decks kind of do well. And, you know, also during this time, we also had the Ukkomons get released. So Ukkomon became a terror that affected a lot of decks, especially Mr. Krusty Boy. He definitely picked up on, you know, Ukka's really powerful skills. You know, then we have a bunch of random fun decks, as you can see in the video here in the list. It's really solid, actually. We have a lot of different things. Things to take from a notable glance here is that we do have Numemon. Where's the Numas? I know. Numemon actually was able to do something in the format against Mr. Millboy. So, might seem like we need to watch out for that. And there's also another hidden demon known as the Galaxy deck, which is basically using the they're using legendary arms mixed in with the, you know, Dawn of Dust deck to try to make this OTK kind of style play that just passes turn. But anything that can do wide removal can definitely take care of this deck. If it's hit insecurity, you end up just losing the game because there's nothing you can do after the control has began. Gets back in. You know, you go wide enough to hopefully clear out, but a Crimson Blaze insecurity can just end your day. You know, a random card in security can just shut you down. Yes, you know, you have to time things up, and hopefully, you know, you get the rookies lined up, and then you have the magic numbers to get over it. But, you know, you have to play well into those formats. So, just something to think about when it comes down to this. You know, you need to make magic numbers, but I won't show off that deck. That's a later deck in a video that I wanted to cover a little bit more. So, let's see. You know, out of 587 decks, this is our kind of total. You know, so first off, we're gonna take a look at the winner of the World Championship primary round at Bandai Games Fest 23, 24 in Singapore. If you notice that this deck basically took out one major key component here, and that was the Garurumon engine. It proved that the deck didn't need the Garurumon engine to actually succeed in the game. And that's scary to show that this is the reason why the deck had to get hit. You know, there is another way of playing up, you know, the Krusty Boy. So I want to definitely show that. The deck is strong even if you weren't to hit, you know, if you hit the Garurumon engine down to 1, it's still playable and it's still going to do what it wants. So, another solid avenue you can definitely go with is the big boys here. So, this is all focused around playing big, and then you use the Omnimons and stuff like that as your kind of top end because you are playing 6s that want to Digivolve on white. So you basically play a bunch of these, and then you just play the one of. Is that going to be crazy? No, but it's going to be fun to see and play. I think this has a lot of potential, especially you can Digivolve up and then put the restrictors on. So I think this has a lot of potential, and we could see this being the way people play, you know, the Crust Band. So then we have Anubis. Anubis showing that its strength was always good. You know, Saber Dramon being able to swing in with Raid Retaliation, especially with Rush with Merva, can lead to being really scary for a lot of players because they can't stop that. That trade with this card here is nasty as can be. So definitely keep an eye on stuff like this. Then we have the Garurumon package. You know, this is kind of like a mixture of what you kind of expect going in. It's not as prevalent as what you're going to expect, but it's something just to take a look at and understand. I mean, you can go with this where Garurumon that just unsuspends and just goes for town with that. It's up to you how you want to handle this, you know. You got mats. Mats are going to be played by the Gabumon who searches it with the, you know, Garurumon that'll play it for free with its inheritable, and Mat just gains you so much advantage. And it just leads into crazy shenanigans, and then you just OTK from there. You know, there's just a lot of powerful behind it, and this is why this card went down to 1, and you know what? The deck's going to still be good. You know, you just have to rely on your protections. Then we do have Bloom Lord. Bloom Lord definitely with, you know, the Quantumon, basically definitely got a big power bonus with this card. It's good to see that BT-15 we get access to this card, so Bloom Lord definitely is going to be at full power for that set, and probably might lead to being a very strong contender, especially with 3 of the decks kind of being pulled down a little bit. They're restricted a little bit, meaning a healthier format will form. So we'll have to see if that will be the case, especially with the X antibody stuff for Palmon. I hope so. Then we do have SOC, the Sons of Chaos edition with Leviamon. Leviamon just wants to spit out bodies just to go to town. Controls, interestingly, you know, unsuspends itself, you know, can do a lot of damage and control the board state. So it's worth just talking about that a little bit. Then we do have a version that used the Louis with a Ukkomon package because Ukkomon plus Louis is just ridiculous. You can promote up early, you know, get a stack going, and then basically at a right time, Louis could bring up your stack a little bit earlier. It just leads to being some crazy shenanigans. I like the list. It's kind of interesting to see with the Ukka, and this proved what Ukka kind of started doing was just becoming very splashed, especially when you saw it in the Krusty Boy deck. Ukka was being played here. So stuff like that does get picked up on and noticed pretty quickly. So I just wanted to talk about that. Then we do have Vaccine. With the Rapamon deck, it definitely changed up a little bit. You know, it's still the same deck at the end of the day, using cards like Messenger of Hope. You know, this card here that basically puts itself into security afterwards is ridiculous, and then has the blanket minus 7k until the end of your turn. So basically you can control the board afterwards. And even with the restriction of Geo Gray, it was just, this starter deck just gave it more minusing power that it just did not need. But it's a really good deck, and it's a really fun one. So I definitely like the Vaccine deck. It's definitely well blended, especially because with the Gato support and the Sala. It just really does well, because then you can control and manipulate where Gato comes in. Surprise, Gato comes out, trying to help pass it back to you. So definitely worth talking about there. Then we have, basically when we get this is going to be halfway through our format, so it's kind of good to just take a look. Rapids, I don't know if we'll play the Mega Kabuterimon Ace, but that's up to you. Personally, I don't think it's needed. We have the Lopmons and the Terriers and all the good stuff here. Javelin's really solid. This card is Double Typhoon is just ridiculously strong. It's all the support that this deck needed, and I'm gonna be straight honest, Bunny Power is always fun. I loved it. I love playing it. I think I played it on our whatchamacallit? On Digimon Tri-Cup, and the video's in the Digimon Tri-Cup list. So definitely check that out. It'll be worth your while. But definitely the deck is really strong, and hopefully with, you know, Rapidmon X Antibody in the following set, this deck continues to be very much a powerhouse. Then we do have another version that was focusing more or less with just, you know, Mimis and stuff like that. You weren't focusing on playing Henrys, but Mimi to help speed up tempo. You know, it used Nidhogg and Quartzmon. Quartzmon's not a bad pickup, especially with Mecha Gargo, because you'll suspend and lock something down. And then if they just pass turn, you can just go into Quartz, then just lock that stuff down permanently. Really good answer styles, and I love this deck. And I think having the multiple option routes where you guys especially get a fun crafting session with this, I think this has a lot of potential. So guys, get ready for this deck. Then we have Leviamon, so the Leviathan deck that everybody wants to talk about. So originally it started like this package using the Garurumon and the Gabumon X Antibody just to keep the tempo and the speed up. The problem comes down to now, without that, what are you going to be kind of focusing and how you're going to play the deck? So there's a few shots at this. I think there's a few lists, but I think this one has some decency. It's going to be a lot slower, but it definitely can handle the Fenrir Luga deck. So just keep that in mind, that this is some value here. So I think this is not bad, especially seeing as it's a first place where it also had another Levy with the Garurumon package. So, I mean, up to you. I think whatever you guys want to play it as how you see fit, whatever you want to be spicy with. And then, you know, here's another version. Here was the third version. You use the Itmon to mill out to speed up the levies getting into trash, and then you use like Wizardmon to gain memory back. And, you know, it's got some potential, and I like it a lot. So, and then here was the final list that we can take a look at, just using Raremon to help mill out too. So it has a lot of potential, and I like this a lot, and it has some good stuff going for it. So all in all, I think this was a good roundup. So guys, what deck are you kind of hoping to play in BT-15? I know the hit us hard, but you know what? It's going to make a healthy format. I promise you, like they've always done for us. So guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you next one. Peace.